Hey everyone, thanks for stopping by the movie Hangout, and let's talk about how Scholastic is censoring Goosebump books. Yes, the famous grade school series that we all loved as a kid growing up in the 90s, the horror series Goosebump books, it is being censored, changed, and I'm going to get into what the heck is going on, what Scholastic, the publisher, is doing. I think it is egregious. It is terrible. It is ridiculous. I'm going to get into what the changes are. I'm going to get into what they are doing to the beloved series. Before I do, if you're going over, hit subscribe, click notification bell, comment, and like this video. I want to hear your opinion on what the heck Scholastic is doing to Goosebumps. Okay, if you're like me, I grew up in the 90s. And I hated to read. I did not like reading at all. I mean, I was allergic to reading anything. I just watched cartoons. I mean, I think most kids were like that, right? Get up Saturday mornings, get your bowl of cereal, watch Ninja Turtles. I think there was like Back to the Future, the animated series, Little Dracula, Garfield and Friends. I mean, you name it, I would watch. But I didn't read anything until I was given my first Goosebump book. That book, everybody remembers their first Goosebump book. Mine was The Haunted Mask. Once I read that thing, I was captivated. I was hooked for life. I needed more. And so I just kept going back to the book fair, getting new Goosebump books. Before I knew it, I read 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Before I knew it, all my close friends, we were like in an unofficial grade school book club. We would read that month's book, and then we would talk about it briefly and what we liked about it, what we didn't like, how cool the cover was. The covers are amazing. Even today, the cover artwork of Goosebump books holds up against anything else. I don't care what anybody says. They're a work of art. They are amazing. Eventually, I'm going to get like a large one framed on my wall. They're so cool. Well, unfortunately, Scholastic, who has made millions and millions of dollars off of the beloved book, they don't feel the same way we do. In fact, they loathe the 90s Goosebump books to the point where they are censoring and changing R.L. Stine's own words without even asking the guy. Isn't that crazy? He was unaware it was even being changed. And then when he was told, he was just baffled. Why is this being changed? So we're going to go into the changes. So here I'm at Not the Bee, and Scholastic has been busy woke censoring R.L. Stine's Goosebumps series for years. Stine says he never authorized the changes. If you were a millennial child in the mid to late 1990s like me, then you read R.L. Stine's Goosebump books, like a lot of Goosebumps, like dozens upon dozens of the books. I mean, it's exactly how I was. You collected them, obviously. You read each one to tatters. That one aisle of Goosebumps in Barnes & Noble was like the Library of Alexandria to you. Absolutely. I mean, and this is exactly what my room looked like. I had so many. We would even trade them as friends. And then they came out with the series of Goosebump books where you could like pick the ending, and it would change. I never got into those, but a lot of my friends did. I just was like old school Goosebump. Then I watched the Goosebump show. So to see these books getting censored to appeal to pathetic woke sensibilities is, well, a big downer. I agree. Publisher Scholastic has made more than 100 amendments to Goosebumps, changing words such as plump to cheerful and replacing crazy with silly. Because I guess that would offend crazy people, right? The edits go well beyond that. Scholastic's changes, first reported by The Times, include removing a reference to fat people with at least 6 chins. So it says, I guess R.L. Stine wrote at least 6 chins who were abducted by aliens. The revised version now says that the people are at least 6 feet 6. So I guess Scholastic thinks it's okay for aliens to abduct tall people, but not other people that look other ways. In a reissue of the 1998 title, Bride of the Living Dummy, the ventriloquist dummy Slappy, which is like a really popular series in Goosebump books, knocks out a girl unconscious with a love tap, but the villain now uses a magic spell. So rather than like hit her, he like puts a spell on her. This is a fake doll. This is like a doll. In the 1996 book, Attack of the Jack-o'-lantern, it's a great book, by the way, good artwork too. A character is described as tall and good-looking with dark brown eyes and a great warm smile. Lee is African-American, and he sort of struts when he walks and acts real cool like the rappers on MTV videos. So I'm guessing this is 90s, late 90s. He's probably talking about like, Snoop Dogg, Coolio was huge. I mean, everybody listened to Coolio because Coolio did the opening song to Kenan and Kel and Nickelodeon. So everybody loved Coolio. I guess LL Cool J, he was big back then. Will Smith. I mean, all these guys had swagger, kind of like Conor McGregor, right? The MMA fighter. He kind of has like a swagger in the ring. That's all that it's referring to. But I guess this makes the people at Scholastic uncomfortable. Crazy. The revised version now calls the character tall and good looking with brown skin, dark brown eyes, and a great warm smile. He sort of struts when he walks and acts real cool. Okay? See, this is why this is messed up, because it's kind of important that kids read. Nobody watches MTV anymore. That's a kid. Kids don't come home from school and watch TRL like we all did in the 90s, because they see music videos on their phone, on YouTube, Rumble, other streaming sites. So it's kind of cool that I think it's good that it should say MTV video, so kids go, what is MTV? And then they go on their phone, right? And they look up, what is MTV? And they kind of learn maybe what things were going on, 25 years ago, 30 years ago. So it kind of helps them be educated of the not too distant past. But when you just like change things around like that, then people don't even know what it was like 30 years ago. Just my opinion on that. And they even get dumber than that too. Oh, they're going to get really dumb, trust me. In The Curse of Camp Cold Lake from 1997, the boys of summer camp whistled loudly instead of having given a loud wolf whistle. So I guess a loud wolf whistle is offensive to people who like wolves. I don't know what that means. And another book, I Live in Your Basement, originally features the main character asking, did he really expect me to be his slave forever? The protagonist now asks, did he really expect me to do this forever? I mean, come on, right? And it says, now you might be tempted to blame R.L. Stine himself for these changes, but Stine says he never signed off on these ridiculous edits. And then there's a statement. It says, Scholastic insisted the changes were necessary to protect young people's mental health. So wolf whistle is going to affect somebody's mental health. But Stein said he was not consulted. Quote, the stories aren't true, the Ohio-born author tweeted in a response to a reader complaining about the modifications. Quote, I've never changed a word in Goosebumps. Any changes were never shown to me. I mean, just think of the audacity of the publisher to not even send an email to the guy, right? I mean, to let him have the decision. I don't hear millions of people complaining about any of this stuff, and needing it to be changed. So how does Scholastic justify making needless, stupid changes to a beloved author's work without the author's permission? And the guy's still alive too. I mean, they could easily ask him. For more than 30, this is what Scholastic said. This is nuts. So listen to this. This is what they wrote and thought was appropriate to tell people. Quote from Scholastic. For more than 30 years, the Goosebumps series has brought millions of kids to reading through humor with just the right amount of scary, read the statement. Scholastic takes its responsibility seriously to continue bringing this classic adolescent brand to each new generation. When reissuing titles several years ago, Scholastic reviewed the text to keep the language current and avoid imagery that could negatively impact a young person's view of themselves today, with a particular focus on mental health. Unbelievable, right? I mean, this just obsession with anything old is bad, anything new is good, is it's nuts. It's nonsensical. I could understand if maybe R.L. Stein lived 100 years ago or 200 years ago and he wrote like an old English, you know, like thee and thou and all that stuff, or thy, and people just were confused what he was talking about. I can understand maybe updating the language there. But this guy's still alive. I mean, he still writes stuff, right? This is 30 years ago. The English language hasn't changed since then. It's nuts. Anyway, then you have Slappy here laughing hysterically. Uh, uh, how do you think about how do you feel about this? What do you think about this? I mean, do you think that kids, their mental state is so fragile that they have to have Goosebump books censored? Or do you think maybe these are adults that have that they're hungry to go on a power trip and it makes them feel powerful, so they will target something like this to feel like they're, you know, enriching the world or something? Let me know what you think. Do you think any of these examples that I gave are worthy of being censored and changed? Also, tell me, let me know, like, what is your favorite Goosebump book? Like I said, mine was The Haunted Mask. The Haunted Mask 2 is pretty good too. And then also the Night of the, I think it was Night of the Jack-o'-lanterns. That's a great one as well. Revenge, or was it like, I think it was like Revenge of the Barking Ghost, or The Barking Ghost. That was another one that was awesome. Let me know, what was your favorite Goosebump title that you read as a kid? Put it in the comment section. I'm interested to read it. And as always, if you need to get future rants, reviews, original content, click subscribe. Later.